Not going to use it anymore.
All right, welcome everyone to our City Council meeting for Monday, October 23rd. If we could have a roll call, Madam Clerk, to establish quorum.
Terry McClung,
I'm here.
Harry Meyer,
Here.
Melissa Green,
Here.
Autumn Slane, here, Steve Holofield,
Here.
David Avanzino.
Here.
All right, stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, got any additions or corrections or anything?
I'd like to add sidewalk discussion about our condition of our sidewalks.
Okay.
Does that need a second?
I'll second it.
Anything else? All right, all those in favor of the agenda as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Get a motion to approve the minutes for October 9th.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
I didn't get the second. Was that David?
Avanzino.
All right. Any corrections, additions? Hearing none, all in favor of minutes as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I abstain. I wasn't here.
Okay. 5 with 1 abstention. All right, we do have on our commission, we got a planning commission vacancy. While we did have the, on the CAPC, the third quarter financials, we don't have those yet to distribute. Kent Turner is here to discuss give us an update on the hospital. So, Kent, would you want to give us a brief update there?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I won't take much of your time, but you may have already heard that on the 10th of this month, we made a decision to change from a critical access hospital to a rural emergency hospital. And I wanted the council to understand the reasonings why we did that. We have, over the course of this year, been getting tremendous pressure to change from a critical access hospital to a rural emergency hospital. The primary reason is because Medicare doesn't like them, CMS does not like them. Most of them are going out of business because they're failing, and it's just been it's difficult for them to survive in the environment that we're in right now. Initially, we weren't real keen on the idea. And there's one way that government can make you keen on the idea, and that's what I want to talk about. There have been several things that have come to induce us to come to the decision that we have come to. First and foremost is once we make application, and that application is initially reviewed and approved, we will get $2.5 million that goes in the general fund of the hospital. Once the application is approved, we will get another $2.5 million. In addition to that, once everything is approved, we will get $272,000 per month to stay a rural emergency hospital. In addition, we will get a 5% increase in our Medicare rates. Medicaid rates will all stay the same. In short, it will literally get us out of a hole that we're in. We have seen a dramatic drop in inpatient at our hospital. Our evaluation over the course of this year has shown that is for some reason, a phenomenon that's going on across the country. Everybody's inpatient levels have dropped. Now, you'll hear from time to time that hospitals can't take patients, they say, because they're full. If you look into the background of that, you'll find that hospitals can take patients. The problem is they don't have the staff to serve the patients. So if for instance, we get ready to transfer somebody from here to Mercy or here to Northwest, It's not uncommon at all for us to tell them that they can't take patients. The common reason is because we're full. That's not the case. Staffing has been a problem, but it has dropped so dramatically that everybody is running staffing very, very low. Our particular situation is we're seeing a dramatic decrease in inpatient to the extent that we are losing about $200,000 a month. And our reserves can't stand that. Well, if you notice, there's a correlation here between losing $200,000 a month and getting $272,000 a month in order to become a rural emergency hospital. That will put that, and that's what this whole program is designed for. I have a packet that I will leave for each one of you that goes through a good summary of how this came about. It's both federal legislation and state legislation. We see this as a way for us to survive. There's two things that it does, okay? One, it takes us from having to have 12 beds to 6 beds, or 15 beds to 6 beds. That will cause us to go back and relook at our design of the new hospital, which we haven't abandoned, because that still has to happen. We don't foresee changing the footprint of the hospital, but we do see allowing space to be opened up to do what this program allows you to do best, is bring in specialty practices. We'd like to bring in a cardiac. We'd like to bring in a prenatal. We'd like to bring in a urology. That will give us space in the hospital to, in fact, do that. And actually give us some excess funds, to the ability to go out and negotiate with doctors to in fact, come in. We'll do an evaluation of that as we go. We are still waiting on the state to talk to us about giving us funding for the hospital. As I said, none of this has changed. Somewhere in the back of my mind, because I was getting such pressure, we were getting such pressure from the state, think that there might be an advantage to us doing this from that perspective. I don't know that for a fact. That's just the feeling I get. Another big thing is we will not have to do what's called CMS or Medicare cost reports anymore. Cost reports were costing us about $40,000 a year to prepare because they have to be prepared by outside consultants. Being a rural emergency hospital, those are no longer be required. The other problem with cost reports is after you turn in a cost report, if they determine there's an adjustment, it takes you about 1 year and 2 months to get that adjustment. And then you also have to go through the battle of fighting over the individual pieces of that. And a lot of times you get, not only do you not get a cost adjustment, you owe CMS money. So clearly with CMS's backing, moving to this type of program, of them saying you don't have to do cost reports anymore, and oh, by the way, we're going to give you 5% more than we're giving you today, they are obviously behind this. The one question that has been asked more than anything is, do you think this will continue after this year? If you change this, do you think this program will continue? I have no idea. But I have no idea what CMS is going to do will continue. I have no idea what other state funding that we're getting will continue. It's the same program. It's the same situation that you get into. You're dependent upon the legislature to a certain extent, or our Congress to a certain extent. The biggest thing is I think we will be able to increase services. I think it takes our hospital from being borderline to a viable hospital at this point in time. We have not yet lost $272,000 in any 1 month. That alone gives me insight. And I'm going to add one more comment that's outside of the REH portion of this is, I know you all have been waiting for financials for the hospital. We have undergone an audit. The audit is complete for the last 2 years. The only thing I'm waiting for is the lawyers, our attorneys are having to review with the auditors the CARES money that we received to make sure that it's been accounted for correctly and to make sure that we don't owe any money back to the federal government. As soon as that's done, the audits will be released to me and I will bring them here to you. We do currently now, on a monthly basis, have full-blown financials. We have balance sheets, income statements, cash flows, everything. We now have that on a monthly basis. So anytime anybody would want to see those, they're available. They're public record. We distribute them every month at our monthly meeting. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. If not, I'll leave these with you so that you can take a look at them.
Mr. McClung?
Okay. Two things. One, what kind of a time frame are you thinking this can happen in?
The reason we had to have a special meeting on the 10th to vote on this is the state said, if you don't get off the dime, we're just going to move on. So the application is just about complete. That will be filed probably before that will definitely be filed before the end of the month. The state has told us, because of our circumstances, that once that's filed, they'll move us to the top of the list, and the process will probably end up occurring between now and the end of the year.
Okay, well, that's good news. And my second question is condition of the plant, of the hospital itself.
The hospital is not good. The condition of the hospital is bad. If we don't get something done, the hospital would probably close, not because of finances, because we literally can't keep the facility going. We lost our generator. We have, in fact, had to do all kinds of things and had to spend all kinds of money to get the generator back up and running, because you have to have a generator. If you go down and look at in the bowels of the hospital, you would understand what I mean. And if anybody ever wants to do that, I'll be more than happy to set up a tour for you, because it's almost, the hospital is safe. Don't get me wrong. Structurally, there's nothing wrong. The problem is it's just all of the old equipment.
Mr. Elliott?
I have two questions as well. Number one is, has a decision already been made to do this?
Yes.
It's complete.
Yeah, we had a special meeting on the 10th to decide. It took almost our entire workshop on the first Saturday of the month. We've been talking about it on and off. Because of the state's push, we had a special meeting on the 10th so that we could go back to them when they were scheduled to call us on the 11th, so we could let them know that the decision had been made to move forward.
Okay. And two, I heard a lot of positive things. Is there any negative about this change?
I don't think there is. The one thing you may hear as a negative, and when you look at this, it kind of sounds like a negative, is you are restricted to only an average of one patient day per patient. Okay, so we're not going to have inpatients anymore anyway. I will give you an example. Last week we didn't have any anyway, and we're staffed for them. So you see what happens when you don't have inpatient and you're staffed for inpatient. In order to do this, we have to have an arrangement with a level 1 or a level 2 hospital for transfer. So that's in the works right now. We're looking at Washington Regional, and we'll probably also look at Cox. You can have more than one, but you have to have one. We're also going to look at Cox. Mercy and Northwest, if you can believe it, are not level 1 or level 2 hospitals. They're level 3, so they don't comply.
Ms. Slane?
Was this a unanimous vote on the board?
It was.
Okay.
I didn't vote, but it was unanimous without me.
Just curious. Thank you.
Anybody else?
One more.
Yes, sir.
So we should know by the first of the year whether we're going to have a hospital or not.
What
You think, is that basically what it's coming down to?
we have, because we've accomplished some things recently, we have reserves. We're living on the reserves now. I'm not going to say yes to that, but I will tell you that life will be, unless we start seeing an increase in swing bed and inpatient, the answer to that would be probably yes. And we're given no reason to believe that they are going to turn us down. They've done everything except hold a gun to our head to tell us to do this.
This is pretty common throughout the state of Arkansas. Most of these correctional access hospitals are going to the rural hospital.
Because you get the clinics, because you're able to expand more. And it's not just Arkansas. Mississippi is undergoing this same thing right now. They're not giving the 200. I think they're at $160,000 a month. So I feel real fortunate that we're at the level we are.
All right. Anybody else? Thank you, Mr. Turner. Appreciate
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your service and your volunteers on there.
Appreciate it.
All right, we'll go into, I think in your packet also, you've got third quarter financials for parks. And under the cemetery, we have a nomination for Dan Hebert, so in your packet. Also, I think you should have your financials for the cemetery in there also. So All right, we'll go in with our public comments. We've got 3 minutes for public comments, so.
Hi, I'm Jane Stevens. I live on East Mountain in Eureka. When I was here 2 weeks ago, I thanked you for making baby steps happen. It's been a little backsides, but I talked to Jacob openly several times. He's pretty good about listening and giving me feedback. But I'd like to really all appeal to your hearts to consider trying to make Eureka Springs more accessible to those citizens that need help. And not just me. But, I mean, it's important that we make that direction. It really is. And the more we can do, the better off we are in the long run, so we don't have to do it all at once. Thank you.
Bo Satori at 2 Fairmount. Last time I spoke at the meeting was about the tree preservation ordinance that you had been working on for quite some time and passed on its, I believe, its 3rd reading. I find myself now being confronted with incidents all over Eureka of heritage trees being cut down completely, with or without a permit. And recently there was the cedar tree at the Peabody House that a commissioner owned and applied for a permit, which was denied, and then she cut it down anyway, sold the property, and moved out of town after being 18 months on the commission. Now, we've got a problem there when the commissioners are not abiding by the laws. And then we had another tree recently cut down the last couple of days up at Hatchet Hall on Steel Street that was 51 inches in diameter and was cut down. I was told by approval of the building inspector and one commissioner. I don't know. I haven't had time to research anything like that. But if we're having these big heritage trees cut down with little or no oversight, then there needs to be something done by the council. And I would suggest having a moratorium on tree cuts, period, till you can re-examine what is in the ordinance. I mean, we've had tree ordinances for 30 years. But it was always the understanding that if you were going to cut a tree down, you had to get permission of the Planning Commission. And then it would be discussed. From what I've heard, the fines that are in the ordinance, the new ordinance, are not sufficient. If somebody's spending $500,000, $600,000 on a piece of property and they need an extra parking place, what's a $750 fine? You need to start looking at $10,000 fines or jail time. And we also need to consider whether it's a good idea to have the building inspector issuing permits. I mean, this has been going on long before Jacob was here, when there was remarkable trees on Main Street that were cut down without any permissions or applications to cut down the trees. And it just goes on and on. I have a huge collection of tree stump photographs that have no use or interest to anyone else but myself, because it just goes on year after year after year. Unpermitted tree cuts, or heritage trees that are on by a word permitted. So I would like you to consider a moratorium on any tree cuts and increasing fines that are contingent on the value of the property, not $750. That's a stiff fine for you or I to pay for an unauthorized tree cut. But when somebody's dropping over $500,000 into property and they cut a heritage tree without permission, then maybe they need to be paying a percentage of that, $50,000. Things that will get their attention. But you've got to start being a little more draconian on protecting our trees, or it's just a joke.
All right, any other public comments? I think we have one to be read into the record.
All right. This one is from Larry Lyles, 2893 Highway 23 North, Eureka Springs. As As concerned parents of children who work in Eureka Springs and grandparents of children in the Eureka Springs school system, I am very concerned if a politician invokes a rule to prevent an off-duty police officer from having access to a long gun in the event of a tactical active shooter situation as needed immediately. As a former law enforcement officer, I personally have responded to situations of active shooters off duty. When the call comes out for these situations, off-duty officers must respond to protect and serve the community, and any delay in this response costs life and limb. Allow your chief law enforcement officer to make policies regarding this. They are trained to do so and are professionals in this field. Politicians who do not have knowledge, training, or experience need to stay out of it. If these measures are invoked and if anything does happen, I can assure you I would fully support any and all legal and civil action against said city officials and the city of Eureka Springs for creating a situation that resulted in more death and injury from such a rule, including bringing in the FBI task force members I have worked with to testify. Below are the FBI current statistics for active shooter situations. If a department implements a regulation that prevents off-duty law enforcement from having access to long guns, the weapon law enforcement is trained and most successful with to stop active shooter situations, then the officers will have to detour to the local law enforcement department, gain access, sign out the long guns and ammunition, load the weapon, and then travel to the incident. Considering the smaller department size and time required for backup to arrive from other agencies, this would double or even triple the 12.5-minute average length of an active shooter incident response, which, if you read below, will dramatically increase the injury-death ratio. 12.5 minutes is the average length of an active shooter incident. 5 minutes is the average time taken to call the police following a gunshot. Such attacks cause widespread panic among bystanders who instinctively seek safety, resulting in delays in informing law enforcement. Furthermore, during these chaotic events, inaccurate location and situation details present an immense challenge to the emergency response, preventing first responders from being correctly dispatched and hindering their performance of potentially life-saving actions. Reducing instant notification time provides first responders with the capability to affect the outcome of an attack, possibly shortening the shooter's view to kill and inflict injury, and presenting the opportunity to administer essential medical treatment sooner. However, to access whether response time really impacts the overall outcome of an active shooter incident, it is important to quantify its effect on mitigating the threat, survival rates, healthcare costs, and the quality of life of victims following the incident. Response time, okay, they're in your packets if you want to see the rest.
Yeah, there's another 2 paragraphs in your packet that you're able to read too. You didn't have one?
Yes, you do.
You can have mine. There should be one in your packet anyway. All right, that concludes public comments. We'll get into city council business. We have no unfinished business. Our first order of new business is application for rezoning of 104 South Main Street from R1 to C1.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
Yes, all right. We have, I think, in your packet, the city council, or the planning commission, I should say, had an application for rezoning 104 South Main Street from residential to commercial. And they held a meeting, and during that meeting, not sure what the final vote was, but they denied the application, and therefore the owners appealed it to the city council, and city council by majority votes considering their recommendation on rezoning. So I think the chairman of the planning commission is here. Do you want to add anything to this report?
I think the vote was 5-1.
It was 5-1? Okay, thank you.
Right, Susan?
It's on the application.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
All right. So open it up for discussion, guys. Mr. McClung?
There was a letter, or not a letter, but a ordinance number 650 that was in our packet today. Can we get a little better understanding of what that actually tells us in relationship to the plat that we have? It looks like whoever the heirs or assigns of that has been, that it was initiated in 31, so there's still life left to it.
I just put that on there because there's a lease for that. It's a street, like a platted street that the house is partially on. I just
Klein
wanted
Street,
to,
yeah.
I just wanted to show that Klein Street was leased out. It doesn't need, it's not like incorrectly built on city property. That
Right.
portion of Klein Street is, and that's all that ordinance is saying. I just want to make sure everything was covered.
Well, do they not have the lease? I'm just curious. They lease the whole section, or all of Klein Street. Is that not right? 150 feet deep, it says.
I would have to look at it. I think it's just a, I think it's just a portion.
150 feet in length and the full width of said Klein Street. So it looks to me like it's whole street.
No, it's 150 feet of it, the whole width, but it's 150 feet long of Klein Street. Yeah.
On one side.
Yeah, so that's all of Klein Street. They control it all.
No, it's 150 feet of it.
Well, okay, I see. Basically what's on the survey. Yeah, yes, I agree with that. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, it extends past that, but that
And
portion.
this block 120, is that part of their property as well?
That's what block their property is located on.
Okay. Okay, so they own, that is their perimeter.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that I'm on target there. The home that sits behind that, that's not
That's-
any part of any kind of request at all?
No, that's residential too. That's R1.
Yeah.
I used to own the house next to the applicants, and part of Klein Street went through my driveway, so I was on the lease too.
Yeah. So it looks to me like, I mean, it's as adjacent to commercial property as anything else is in town, and that a commercial designation is appropriate.
I disagree.
Are we still on a
Just
moratorium?
a moment. Let's, one at a time. Are you through, Mr. McLean?
Pardon me?
Are you,
Yeah, I mean, it's been there, I know where it is. If you don't know where it is, make yourselves familiar with it. Right up the corner where Armstrong goes up the street. It's been that way. Everything on up the street is commercial. I understand the idea of not wanting to lose a potential long-term rental or something that could be just strictly residential. I understand, but location is location. And to me, that's what it takes.
I think it's a pretty
no,
good
wait a
road.
minute, wait. Ms. Green,
Oh,
go ahead.
You
Ms.
can go.
Green had her hand up.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Well, I can kind of agree with you, Terry. I've been in the nightly lodging business for 21 years. Most of mine have always been commercial. I've had one cop, one grandfather. Where I live now on Elk Street, the side of my house, the west side, I own right up to the end of the house. I don't own any property, but the property that starts right on the corner of my house down the whole way is commercial. And I've been in business doing nightly lodgings forever. Maybe I should just apply and say, hey, give me commercial because I'm surrounded by it. I hate to see the erosion because pretty soon all those lots above them have been sold recently, and there's probably going to be houses built. So are we going to make that commercial? I just think we're eroding our residential area, and we can use my excuse. I live right next to commercial. Why shouldn't I be commercial?
Okay.
No,
Mr. Myers?
I'm sorry, I get excited. That's a perfect spot for someone who's renting, because this is an absentee landowner, somebody who's renting to bartend at the Cat House. You know, it's a place that you can live and you can walk to work. That's the kind of lodging we need for people that work and live here. I just don't think it needs to be changed because of that.
Ms. Lane,
How large is this home?
did I see
it
somewhere
in the
800 square
application?
feet?
I didn't see it.
It's on, let me find it.
I think it's a one-bedroom, one bath. That helps. Because even during the application, the couple said it was too small for them to ever move into and retire into,
832 feet.
so they thought it would be good for
Thank
rental.
you.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? All right, is there a motion? Mr. McClung?
I make a motion that we approve this request to rezone.
There's an ordinance in there.
There is an ordinance. Did I see that?
Well, let's just get the motion first.
Oh, here it is.
I think that's either way you want to do it.
I can do it this way.
Okay.
There is an ordinance prepared, and I make a motion that we assign this ordinance a number and put it up for its first reading.
Do I have a second? All right, not hearing a second, and that motion fails. All right, any other discussion on this? Any other motions? All right, then that, it stands up with the Planning Commission's denial of the rezoning. All right, our second item is sewer testing update. Mr. Simon?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So in your package, you'll find two quotes that I was able to gather up. One's a McKinney Creek quote that I spoke about at the last council meeting to do the smoke testing of our entire system for a total of $175,900. And the second quote's from Bertram Products Incorporated to install SCADA and replace the electronics on our lift stations, on all the lift stations. If we go with the SCADA route on our lift stations, it'll be approximately $114,000 versus almost $76,000. So I've tried to reach out to other companies to get lift station quotes, and they just didn't submit quotes. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. I got one quote. So I'd like to answer any questions you guys might have about this.
The electronics, what do they entail? Are they?
Right. So that's a great question. So our lift stations, in 2007, we were under consent order from ADQ to upgrade our lift station electronics, to put them on SCADA, to put generators at all the lift stations, to update the access to the lift stations because they're all four-wheel drive trails that go down to them. And then our alarm notification systems, because these lift stations are all down in the holler and people don't really live by them. So if they overflow, even if the alarm system works, nobody really sees it or hears it because it's so far out of the way. So what this would do is replace the aged electronics, the breaker panels and everything. So the reason that's necessary is if you look through these photos from Bertram, you'll see that one of them, the stand is broken and the panel's just kind of laying on the ground. But a lot of the panels that we have are just fiberglass panels, and of course due to the sun and exposure to the elements, they're just kind of breaking down. The electronics in a lot of these are burned up. They have burned up components, and it seems like at one time they tried to connect them to the landlines, and the landlines would have like a lightning strike or something, and it burned up all the electronics. So everything's just pretty much doesn't work anymore. So what this would include is new cabinets, stainless steel cabinets, new breaker panels, new electronics altogether. Plus, it'll hook it up to our SCADA system that can be monitored through our wastewater facility, so we can check on run times and identify areas that we might have an I&I problem in. So we could start doing cameraing or try to find where that water's coming from.
So how are you going to monitor them unless you use a landline?
Yeah, so they'll go through the cell network, and I have to apologize because I don't have the monthly cost. This is for a 1-year service package. I'm not exactly sure how much that service package is. It's something I'll have to find out for the budget for next year. But this will all connect to the SCADA system that we use at the wastewater treatment facility, where we monitor everything there. Terry, our wastewater treatment plant operator, he's like top notch. You'd be hard pressed to find a guy as dedicated as he is to his job. But he watches SCADA at his house from his laptop just to see what the plant's doing all the time. I mean, he's very, very like on top of things, you know. So this would just put that for him to be able to access.
What is the life expectancy of these new units?
So the cabinets, of course, will last 25, 30 years, I would assume. Longer than that, they're stainless steel, so they're not going to rust. The reason you have to do stainless steel on this kind of situation is because the gases that the wastewater produces is caustic, and it will cause regular steel cabinets to rust. So the cabinets themselves will last a long time. The controls inside of the cabinets, I don't know, probably 15, 20 years. I mean, it's a constant process of upgrading and replacement. I mean, we have to come up with a capital improvement project.
So what it is, the way you do that then is just on a service contract and they take care of them?
No, because it's not a lease, it's actual purchase.
Okay.
So they'll have a service contract for a year because of the warranty. But after that, you know, it's just like buying a vehicle, get a warranty for so long, and then we have to take care of it.
So does someone get trained in that? I mean, is it that much different than what we already have, you know, as far as the guts?
As far as like the operations themselves, it's going to be identical. I mean, we're still going to have the same pumps, the same everything in there, just new breaker panels, the SCADA system. The people that use SCADA will be trained on that. But there's not a whole lot of change. No.
In any of the process.
No, it's just more visibility.
Any other questions? Ms. Swain?
Did you have to get extra funds in your budget to maintain this program, or is this going to be taken away from something, or?
No, so this purchase, we have funds in I&I right now for this year, and then if we purchase the SCADA system, it'll be covered by the I&I funds that I have budgeted to spend this year. Now, as far as the service plan goes in the future, we'll budget for that, of course. You know, that'd be like a operations maintenance of the plan or something, budget line. I don't think it'll be a whole lot, you know, and I'm sorry I don't have that number for you, but okay. I don't think it'll amount to, you know, $1,000 or $2,000 a year.
And any other questions?
Get it done?
No, give me a motion. It's $113,950 to do them all. There's a $500.
We got to ask that guy back there. We got the money.
There's a $500 discount per lift station if we do them all at once, so that'll drop off $3,500 off the cost.
So we're looking at $113,000.
$113,950.
Okay.
One thing we do need to keep in mind is we did just get our meter heads in to replace our meters, and that's going to be about $150,000 plus the install. Does that include the install? Okay, so we've got that expenditure too.
Repeat that again, please.
The meter heads, the electronic meter heads, they finally came in, so we have them all in, and they're going to be. We don't know when they're going to install them. I'm not paying for them until they install them. But it's $147,000 for those meter heads.
And that is the installed price?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got the 150 there and another 120 roughly with that project, so that's 270. That's all can be funded through I&I, right?
Right, it can.
We do have the money.
We have about $1 million in I&I.
I know we had it in our packet. Do you know off the top of your head what we have in our I&I at this point?
We got right at about $1 million. We had a little bit over $1 million, but we have used some of that for some of these infrastructure improvements that we've had to do. So we've spent $30,000 or $40,000, $50,000 of it. So we're just right under $1 million in I&I.
And I believe the council has already approved the $150,000.
Right. That was actually approved year before last. So, I mean, that's already approved, but I just kind of want to make y'all aware that we do have, you know,
We haven't
we're
spent-
lining up too many of these projects. We might
We
need
haven't
to
spent it yet.
Yeah, we might need to, you know, like the smoke test or whatever, if we can push it out a little bit and, you know, do them a little bit at a time, so.
Well, I think,
Go ahead,
if I
Mr.
may,
McClung.
I think that it's important that, you know, we need to have what your priority is, what you think it should be. You know, should the smoke test come first? Should these come first? Because that's not our bailiwick. We don't know. Someone needs to give us that direction. We're just the one that's going to say yay or nay based on that. But, you know, if the 150 is already approved, I'm of the mind when, you know, if we sit around and wait, we know that the prices are going up. And that's not, you know, 6 months from now. They're going up monthly.
Yeah.
It's just, so I think it's important that we address this. I don't want to make a motion to approve it until I know this is the next step that needs to be done. If you think this is more important than the other.
So let me help you out with that. In 2007, we were put under consent by ADEQ, and this was listed as one of those steps, and it never got done. ADEQ is really looking at us pretty closely right now. We had a level indicator on our SBR that failed and caused overflow, and we're under consent now for the plan itself, so we're going to have to spend some money on that. But this is from 2007. It was never completed. I think our first step, in my opinion, the most important step is to go ahead and get this on SCADA so we can figure out where our I&I issue's coming from.
What about the smoke test? You think do that later?
I wouldn't do the smoke test because if we figure out where the I&I issue's coming from, say it's in the basin on the west side of town,
It'll help
we
us
could
isolate.
go and just do that area, and we don't necessarily have to do smoke tests. We could camera it. You know, I don't have a camera right now, but I'm looking at trying to purchase one here pretty soon.
Can we do our own smoke tests?
I don't know if we could buy the stuff to do the smoke test, but we could definitely camera the system, you know, and I've been working right now trying to get quotes for camera systems where we can actually do the inspection. We have the new flushing trailer, the jetter trailer coming in. Our next step really in that process is buying a camera so we could inspect the pipes once we gen them. So, but yeah, we're moving towards trying to eliminate some of the inflow and infiltration of our wastewater system.
Mr. Myers?
Since those lift stations can't be relied on and they could overflow at any time, and they're down in the hollers, I would say that this would be the thing to do first, because
Right, and we had one that overflowed yesterday, Friday maybe? I think it was Friday. And we had to go down and replace the pump on it. But nobody knows until we go look at it, and I don't have a crew to have time to check them every day.
Mr. McClung?
Well, these are the kind of things that the I&I was set up for. So
Yes.
I make a motion that we approve the lift station purchases.
I'll second that.
I got Mr. McClung made the motion to approve the lift station purchase with the SCADA installation. And Ms. Green seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Thank you.
we're good to go on that. Do what? No, I don't think so. Well, we'll do that the next meeting on that. All right. Employee benefit, no, and next item is ordinance to keep long firearms and munitions at the police station. Motion to discuss.
motion to discuss.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Mr. Myers?
I believe it, since they have had trouble at other departments with long weapons disappearing and the fact that somebody who's on the force that lives on the other side of Holiday Island ain't going to make it here in 10 minutes anyway. I think the best thing to do is to keep all this stuff at the police department, keep it locked up, since the federal government doesn't even think we need it. But keep it there and locked up. We've got 2 cops on duty all the time. There's some around that can go get a weapon. Now, if he's in his patrol car, he can carry the gun while he's patrolling the street. But if he's at home, he doesn't need to have those weapons. I think we need to keep them here. I don't even think we needed to buy them because they could have been provided free, and I don't know how much the training cost. I don't even know if they were trained at the state police SWAT team training area, because that's how that's how the state police does it. They've got to be trained at a training facility. And did our guys go down to Little Rock and get trained?
Mr. McClung?
I can't speak for the chief or for the department, but they do have to. They have to qualify on the firearms twice a year. I believe it's correct. Handgun, long gun, as well as shotgun. Got to qualify on all 3.
We're not talking about that. We're talking about the response team that he's putting together.
You know, you're talking about long guns in all cars, which they already have.
Long guns and shotguns. They have, yeah.
Yeah.
They got it.
Yeah.
Now,
Sure
there's
don't
a
need to be
difference between
driving
patrol
home.
rifle and SRT.
Okay, just one. All right. The question is, I think, training, and I know we have the training, so Chief, you want to go ahead and address some of those issues?
Yes, training. The state mandates all officers.
Speak in the microphone.
I'm sorry. The state mandates all police officers in the state of Arkansas qualify with whatever firearms they carry. Okay, and the state mandates that they have to qualify at least once a year. We mandate that they have to qualify at least 3 times a year, because a person cannot be proficient pulling their pistol out or whatever once a year. So we harp on proficiency. And that's the reason why we have the things we do. But as
Being
far as
able
the-
to shoot proficiently and accurately is one thing. But you said you have the SWAT team and they have the same training as the state police. Now,
Mr. Myers, no, I think
isn't that incidents?
we're talking about 2 separate things. Let
Yes.
the chief finish his.
Yeah, I'm like I say, I'm not even talking about SRT right now because we're talking about patrol rifles. Okay, there's 2 different things. Okay, and there's 2 different qualifications. There's different qualifications for whether it's pistol, whether it's shotgun, whether it's rifle. Okay, and what you're talking about right at the moment is a patrol rifle qualification. Okay, and we make sure our guys are proficient. Each firearm is sighted in for each individual officer. That officer sights it in for him because they have optics on them. Not everyone has the same eyes. I don't have the same eyes as you. You don't have the same eyes as Mr. McClung or anything else. So those rifles are done for that person and that person only. That officer is responsible for anything that's wrong with that firearm or anything else. If he turns them in and has to pick them up every time, then we can't say that that's the only person that's used that.
oh, let's go ahead and fix that.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're responsible for that firearm, and they keep that firearm with them at all times. They have control of that firearm. No one else has control of that firearm but them.
If it's locked up at the police
Mr. Myers, you
station.
want to speak in the microphone, Sam? We're having a hard
If it's locked up at the police station, and really, it's not so much, okay, they can hit the bullseye. But what if we got one that goes off goes berserk? I mean,
Who's going to go berserk
a
with it?
surface weapon is one thing, a pistol is one thing.
I
But
guess
a
I'm not
long gun,
understanding.
somebody that can shoot,
Right.
no.
I'm not understanding what you're talking about, someone going berserk with one.
Well, what happened in Green Forest?
Speak in
Who
the
went berserk
microphone
with
again.
one in Green Forest? One got stolen out of a vehicle, but that's different.
So,
Our
yeah,
vehicles all have gun locks in them,
Here's
and
the-
those guns are locked up in the vehicles. In a gun lock, when they're on patrol, that gun is locked in the vehicle,
Ms.
in a gun
Swain.
lock.
Is there anywhere to keep these guns if you were to keep them at the police station?
We could lock them in a safe. We'd have to get more safes, but then every time one of them went to get them out, because they all look the same. So they'd have to go through and read serial numbers off of every single one, trying to find which one theirs is.
So,
Because that's the difference in them, is serial numbers. Other than that, they're all the same. They
except
have
for
the
the big
same
dollar
optics,
one.
except for the what?
Except for the super duper one from Berryville.
Mr. Avanzino?
Yeah, just a quick question, Chief. If this ordinance was passed and officers had to leave home to respond to a situation, come to the police department, open a safe, make sure that they're getting the right weapon, how long is, just an average, how long is that going to increase response time?
A lot, because the officers won't have access to that safe. An armorer would have to have access for that safe.
Yes.
So they would have to have an armorer get that out for them. Because
So-
if that
so
weapon's
by
there,
passing-
someone has to be responsible for it. And essentially, you could call it a chain of custody.
Yeah, so by passing this ordinance, we are putting life and limb in jeopardy.
Yeah, you're talking teen. I mean, there's no telling. Because if an armorer wasn't there to get them access to it, it could be 45 minutes before someone could get there to open that up for them. But if they have it with them, if they're called out, they have it and they immediately go to the scene.
Mr. Holyfield?
That's the reason why we have it the way we do.
Chief, have we had any weapons stolen or lost?
No. We've had no incidents here with any firearms.
Mr. Green?
Chief Young, is the SRT,
Speak into the microphone.
is the SRT gun, that is with one person, correct?
No, we have 3 members on the SRT team.
Okay, so.
But
it
only one of them is, if you're going back to Snap, only one of them has that.
has the rifle,
Yeah, he's the only one.
and he's in charge of it, and he's
Mhm.
trained
He
and
is
certified?
responsible.
Okay.
He is certified by the state. He's had to go to state courses.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, in our world, anything can happen, I understand. Somebody could maybe figure out how to break into a car and get a gun.
Yeah.
We could have an active shooter.
We haven't had anything, but we have to be prepared for the
Yeah.
worst and hope for the
So,
best.
I understand that it may not, I understand Mr. Myers, where his thoughts are, but I also understand, God forbid anything bad happen, we would need that gun immediately.
Yeah, the protocols that we have in place with the firearms, that we have them in place like that for a specific reason. Because we do not have, like this, talking about an armory. Okay, we'd have to set up a thing, we'd have to hire more employees to run that armory. Because you'd have to have someone there the whole time when these guys are coming on shifts and everything else to figure out which weapons which and everything else. And that would take a while and take a lot of money.
We have no violent crime here. I was shocked when I found out that every officer has a long gun and a shotgun. I figured they had pistols. Why going so far? It's like we're militarizing our police forces.
There's a reason we haven't had a lot of violent crime here. And we want to keep it that way. Our officers are prepared for that, and the public knows that our officers are prepared. We don't want people to come to town, and I mean, if they come from a large city that has all these things, they don't want to come to a town and feel unsafe.
They don't know. They don't see the cops.
They do quite a bit. We interact with them all day long.
All right.
Anybody else? Mr. Myers, you want to make a motion or
I'll
anything?
make a motion to pass the ordinance.
Do I have a second? All right, motion dies for lack of second. All right, that brings us up to our next item. Employee benefits package, I think. Our wonderful finance director. is going to tell us all the good things we.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some good stuff now. This is just an information for you guys. We had our open enrollment a couple of weeks ago, and when I came over to do mine, a couple of the employees come up to me and they pulled me to the side and they said, you know, I want to thank the city for what you do for us and what y'all are doing for us and the benefits that y'all are giving us, because not a lot of jobs do this. And so kind of wanted to go over and let y'all know what we've added, kind of what's the different things that we have available to our employees. Of course, the big thing is our medical insurance. The medical, dental, and visual is paid for by the city. We pay that. That's a benefit of about $450 a month that we pay for the employees, for our full-time employees. As part of that, there's also a life insurance policy that's included in that. That's a $10,000 life insurance policy on all of our full-time employees, so that they accidentally die or they die otherwise. It helps with their final expenses. And those are all paid by the city. MetLife is an organization that we use. The medical benefits are from the Municipal League. MetLife, the city also provides an additional $15,000 a month life insurance policy to our employees. So it's a total of about $25,000 should something happen to them. We have Global Life, which is Liberty. That's life insurance that they can purchase outside of us. They can also add, there's a couple other policies that they provide. But in our contracting with Global Life and Liberty to do this year they offered a free $3,000 accident and death life insurance policy for every one of our employees. So every one of our employees that wanted to sign up for it got a $3,000 life insurance policy, accidental death policy free. We offer AFLAC, which is in the Global Life that was new for 2024. AFLAC, we offer supplemental insurances, cancer policies, different things. Then we have our VALIC, which is our retirement plan. We originally had Mercy Life, which is the Lifeline. And then in 2021, we added AirMed. So now they have two choices, or two different life lights. A couple of things that we tried to look at, we went back and we said, what can we give to our employees that's of little cost to the city, but that can benefit them? And so this year we were real happy to roll out an FSA account. It's going to be through Equity Bank, is who is going to be managing it for us. But that's money that the employees can take out of their paycheck before taxes, put it into the FSA account, and then they can pay for their medical bills with it. And so many people were excited about that. We partnered with the community center to offer gym memberships. They offered us a family membership for $60 a month. The employee goes up, they sign up for the gym membership, they pay the $60, they bring us the receipt, we reimburse them for $30 to pay for half of that. We started that new in 2023. The FSA account was new in 24. We have another couple of people that come. Nelson's Funeral Home comes. A lot of people don't want to talk about that, but they come, they talk to our employees about end-of-life plans and different things that they have to offer. And CS Bank also came and talked to them about the accounts and stuff that they have. What we try to do, and what the employee said to me that I found was so interesting, was he said, you know, we used to just come in and sign up for the medical bill and leave, or medical insurance and leave. He goes, but y'all have brought in so many other options for us to look at, to think about, that maybe we wouldn't think about. And he said, I'm not saying I'm going to sign up for everything, but he said, there are a few things that have kind of got me thinking. And he said, I just want to appreciate y'all for doing that. So I wanted to just kind of bring this to you. We have about a 90% participation in our medical insurance. The AFLAC, we have about a 27% of our people sign up for additional insurances. Our Life Flight, with Mercy Life, we have a 55% sign up, which I think is great. AirMed, we have a 65%. So, and this year we have about a 15% on our gym memberships, people that are doing that. This is our second year to do that. And our FSA account For the first year, we had 25% participation. And we did a pretty good campaign of going around and trying to explain it to everybody, but still, it's going to be a learning curve of people understanding what that is. But just in a brand new program, we had 25%. So we were really excited about that. So I want to give a big shout out to Jerry. He's done a great job in our HR department. He's put a lot of this together. He and I have worked on a lot of this together. But just kind of wanted to give y'all some good news. I asked the mayor, I said, can I just come and give some good news about what we're providing to our employees? Because we always can't pay the most. We're not necessarily the ones that can pay the most, but we can try to add as many benefits as we can to help them and to keep them. And I've been interviews this weekend, or this week, we've been interviewing for a position at the water department, and every one of them has sent me an email back saying, I was blown away by what y'all offer. I have never been offered this before anywhere else. So we're doing a good job on trying to take care of our employees. I know that's a big thing. We want to pay good and take care of our employees as much as we can, but we are offering a lot of other things for our employees. So that's it. Just want to let y'all know.
That was,
y'all got any questions?
I'm sorry, that was $60 a month?
No, it's $60 a year.
You said.
Yep.
You said
I'm sorry.
Oh, wow,
Sorry.
you're getting ripped off.
No, it's $60. Well, and how they did that was, I believe it was $60 for a single membership and like $100 and something for a family membership.
Right.
So they gave our people, everybody, a $60 price, whether it was a single or a family. So you could sign up if you were an employee, you could sign up your whole family for $60. Great. And then we would reimburse 30 of that. So we've had pretty good participation in that. Participation in that. It's raining. So, and these are just little things that we're trying to do to try to make it a little bit better environment and help everybody out. David?
Since I'm not familiar with the medical part of this insurance, I'm assuming that it includes mental health.
Yes, it does.
Especially for our first responders, trauma, counseling.
Yes, it does. And I believe our current program right now, we have a cooperation with Ozark Guidance, and our employees, the first 3 sessions are paid 100%. And then after that, it's filed on their insurance. But the first 3 sessions, the city takes care of if they have anything.
Are these like certified trauma therapists? I know they're very difficult to find in the state of Arkansas.
I don't actually know what
Ozark Guidance is a certified behavior health.
Yeah. So just some good news.
Do we have anybody else? Any other comments?
Do we have any half-time positions, or is it all full-time positions in the city?
We do have some part-time employees, and at this time we don't offer our benefits to them. We just offer them to our full-time people. Okay. But if they get up to where they're working, I believe it's 32 hours, they kind of transition into full-time, and then the benefits kick in and become available to them. But on our part-time people, we haven't offered. But, that's one thing that I was thinking about when I was putting all this together, is some of the benefits that I would like to see if we can extend, like the Mercy Life and that kind of stuff, if we could go ahead and extend those benefits to our part-time people, because those are just contracts that we have with them where we pay a premium or whatever. We might be able to do something like that. So we're going to keep going. This is just our start. We're trying to keep going. And if you guys have any ideas or anything you do at your businesses, let us know.
Ms. Lane?
I had the pleasure of sitting down with Jerry a couple weeks ago about this exact thing, because I was just curious for myself, just what we were offered. I know that I struggle with health insurance as a business owner. And he was so helpful. I got the full picture of how he treated our employees and was super impressed. He did a great job.
This room is completely full. We fill up the entire room with tables and everything. He does a program. They come through the door, they check in, he gives them a program. A lot of our vendors donate stuff like little door prizes. So they take their sheet around and have it stamped that they attend everything. And then once they attended everybody, you had to talk to everybody, you got to go into the drawing. But the people that we have, it's great for me because when I go around, I introduce myself as, I'm Jerry's boss, blah, blah, blah. And our valet guy, when we were talking to him, he told me, he goes, I just want to tell you, he goes, it's such a different atmosphere. He goes, I used to not be crazy about coming out here to do it because he said it just was kind of tense and everything. And he goes, I cannot believe how y'all got this set up and how you're doing it and how everybody was interacting and talking and how the employees were reacting to them. So it's been well received by our employees. It's been well received by our vendors. They've been, but he's done a great job. When it comes to open enrollment time, we just kind of leave him alone and don't talk to him because he gets a little stressed. But he does do a great job, and it's very important to him. And it's very important to me and to the mayor. The mayor was the driver behind the FSA account, and I think that's going to be a huge benefit for, one of the employees that spoke to me talked about they're on a expensive medicine that they have an expensive out-of-pocket. Well, it's not going to take that away, but it's going to let them pay for that with pre-tax dollars so that it's going to reduce the amount that they're paying in taxes. And that's going to, in effect, it's going to lower the cost of that medicine for them. So our employees are seeing the benefit of it. And, we can't always offer them money. We can't always offer them the big salaries that some of the other towns can. But, these benefits, a lot of the other towns don't offer.
And with the FSA, what always impressed me is you somehow get more take-home pay. I mean, because it reduces your taxes and your ultimate take-home pay is better. So
what they're going to receive is a debit card. They're going to get a debit card, and they will be able to take that debit card to Walgreens, Walmart, wherever they're buying their medical stuff at. They'll be able to, like, if they have a bill of groceries and they've got medical stuff in there, they can swipe the debit card. As long as it's within that system, it will take everything that's medical off and put it towards the card. Then it'll leave them their balance for their groceries that they'll pay. So it's as convenient as possible. You can use it when you go into the doctor's office to pay your copayment. Like you give them your credit card now or your debit card, you just give them that and it pays for it right there. And then they also will have the ability that should they not have their card with them and they have to have a medical bill or something and they have to pay it out of pocket, they can log online, they can scan in their forms and get it reimbursed to them. So it's going to be a really good program for them. We looked at several different platforms for this, and Equity had a great program. We were very excited about it, and they're very excited about offering it to our people. So I think it's going to be a great benefit, and we hope that we get more and more participation as we go along.
Does this offer daycare also?
It does offer dependent care. There is some dependent care on there that you can put your dependent care back. There's a little bit difference in the dependent care versus the medical benefits. There's a few different rules about how it works. The medical, the maximum you can put in IRS rules is $3,500. So say I, put mine up for $3,500 because I'm going to have braces. So I can go in January or February and have my braces done and pay for it with my card, and I have my full amount available. And then you pay it as you go along. With the dependent care, it's not like that. The dependent care, you build it up and then you're able to use it. It's not like a prepaid type.
But also counts dental, glasses. So
yes.
It's just a great program.
It's a use it or lose it. They do. That's one of the problems that people have the most problems with is that when they get to the end of the year, if they haven't spent it, then they can lose it. But the way this one is set up, you can buy Band-Aids with it, you can buy aspirin with it, so if you get to the end of the year and you've got $100 left or you've got $50 left, you can go to Walmart and buy your cold medicines and things like that. So it doesn't always have to be doctor related, it just has to be medically related. So.
Anybody else?
Well, if you know, will you go over what the elected officials are offered?
Y'all are offered, you can get the medical insurance, but you have to pay for that. The retirement, I don't think you can put into that. I think all y'all can do is the FSA and the Mercy Lifes and the community center.
And
That's what I thought, but
MetLife.
I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Both of the helicopters.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Is there a rule or reason why we can't participate in everything?
Or part-time, right?
Oh, I guess it would be, yeah, I didn't even think of that.
And there's a part of
I
it,
gotcha.
like, disability, we don't, you get your paycheck no matter
We
what.
do
So
get disability insurance.
you can't like
Okay.
participate in the, like,
But there is life insurance on everybody
Yeah.
on there too.
Yeah. If we get shot, we're covered.
We probably
I
owe the
appreciate
city
it all,
money.
so I'm not saying anything, I'm just saying.
you do get the $100,000 AD&D
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Oh, wow,
That's
okay.
free. That's something that we all get.
All right.
All right,
Thank
thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, that brings us, it says Mayor Barry for the update on the new city website, but I think I'm going to pass that over to the person who really masterminded this, Madam Clerk.
It was not just me. Michael and Mary Lee worked really hard. They gave us a kind of test website. So they worked really hard and went through each and every tab and made sure every contact person was correct. All of the correct website links were done, all of that. So they took the time to make sure that all of the necessary changes were needed. And we got back a review, we got back the corrections. So we're in what's called the final review process. Tentatively, we are talking about October 31st as our launch date. As of now, the only thing that will not be available is the modules for online permitting and licensing and things like that. That's going to take a little longer because we got the extra modules for Jacob and Kyle and myself, and Jacob's working on getting all those fees in there, and it's a little bit more of an intricate process. So I know they're still on the Jacob and the fire marshal stuff right now. That it hasn't continued to me or Kyle yet, but the website itself, or the real meat, I guess, will be released hopefully on the 31st if we don't have any additional changes or anything like that.
That's really exciting.
Woohoo, thank you.
Ready for Halloween?
So,
All right, yeah, it looks real good, so if y'all get a chance, do they have access to it now?
No, I didn't send out the link. I can though.
All right. Well, it's going to be real nice. It's real exciting. That brings us up to our next item, is the third quarter financial summaries, Madam Clerk.
So I just have my third quarter financials that I mandated to give to you guys. Gave you the usual graph that'll have the accounts payable, cash receipting, and payroll. The other two, the long-term liabilities and bank balances, you get that in your budget packets. But that's a requirement in the state code. And then if you need any detailed statements on these, I have them available for review.
thank you.
Any questions from anyone? All right, get a motion to discuss items sidewalks.
I move we discuss the sidewalks.
Second.
All right. Mr. Holyfield?
I watched the planning and zoning meeting, and some of the people there brought up the issue of sidewalks, and as everybody knows here, that's one of our biggest complaints in town. Our sidewalks are a mess. I actually overheard a conversation with a guy downtown who fell on our sidewalks, busted his nose. He's bleeding everywhere. And it's just, our sidewalks, and I used to walk in the mornings, and I used to walk in the street because I knew, especially before dawn, that you're going to break your neck on these sidewalks. So I would like to, and it was the Planning and Zoning Commission's suggestion that we have a workshop on sidewalks to look at the ordinance, to look at what our options are, and to at least look at it, talk about it, see if there's something we can do about it. I know it goes back and forth. The sidewalks are given back to the citizens to maintain, but they're not doing it, and we're not making them do it. So what's going on here? It seems like it's very confusing to me. I at least would like to talk about it.
Well,
second
I'd like
that.
to interject here. This is really an infrastructure situation. It's not that I don't care for having the workshop between the Planning Commission and City Council, but unless the City Council wants to take this back, I think this is something that it's more of an enforcement issue. Bobby Ray had a list of priorities on the sidewalks. And unfortunately, when he left, I asked where that list of priorities was because he was getting people to work on their sidewalks. And anytime a person was issuing a building permit that had to do with their house, the sidewalks had to be repaired at that point in time. Unfortunately, when Bobby Ray had a list in the notebook instead of on a computer, and so when Jacob came in, he threw away paperwork that included all the sidewalk priorities. Now, Jacob and I are going to get together and start a priority list again. I think this is, again, something that we just need to look at on the property owners, because it's property owners, and going through and finding where those hazardous sidewalks are and get them repaired and issue them to the property owners. That's the solution. It's not a solution with a workshop necessarily. Now, we do have some issues going through, with the maintenance and on the sidewalks, but I think once we get that list started, I think with Jacob being real good about going through and making sure that the sidewalks are there. People walking in the streets, I don't care if we've got such streets with concrete on them and people walk in the streets. I see them walking all the time, so it's not necessarily the sidewalks, they're just walking in the streets. Because our sidewalks are only about 3 feet wide.
That's how you tell them.
It's not uncommon, and I talked to the state and I talked to planning directors too. Cities, sidewalks in historic areas and in cities are responsibilities of the owners historically. It's the city's responsibility from curb to curb, unless we do new sidewalks. And now the other issue, and I mentioned this to the chairman of the Planning Commission, is some of our subdivisions don't have new sidewalks, and they should have, because I think that's part of the whole deal with making sidewalks. But again, that got overlooked. So that's just something to look at. And I'm thinking about a subdivision outside of town. We put sidewalks out there, and it goes out to the highway, and there's no sidewalks out to the highway. And that highway would cost us probably a good, counting, I don't know what it would cost, at least probably $1 million to put sidewalks from, I'm talking about Pivot Rock Road, from Dairy Hollow to the 62. So it's expensive items for new sidewalks, but that's on our list to do with the state. And I heard somebody too say something about the grants. The Fayetteville got grants to do the sidewalks. Well, Fayetteville qualifies for their CDBG money, their community development block grants. So does Berryville. So does Green Forest. That's how they paid for their sidewalks. We're not eligible for community development block grants. That's based on your minimum wage per person per capita. And we're over the 51% on that. If we were under it, which we were for a while, and that's how we got paid.
It was just a few years ago, wasn't it?
That's how we got our tunnels fixed. And if we were eligible for that, then we could qualify for those grants. But we're not eligible, unfortunately. Mr. McClung?
I understand what you're saying, Mr. Mayor, but I think it's also, a good idea for these workshops between the council and planning commission on regards to sidewalks, because I think we need to take a fresh look at that. And I think the city needs to get more involved in the installation, maintenance, whatever. I think we got to take a fresh look at it. It's not, the landscape of things isn't what it used to be. And I just, I think there's federal money out there. I think there's ways to try and get it. But I think we just need to look at this all with fresh eyes, and there may be ways that the city can participate more completely in what's already there and in repairs too. I just think that it's a real important issue that we need to look at for our future of the town.
If there's, and I'm speaking out to the public, anybody knows of any grants available, I'm more than welcome to look at them. We've looked. I've talked to Northwest Arkansas Economic Development. I've talked to the state. There's just not money for infrastructure, except through the state highway department, and that's through the safe roads, safe sidewalks, safe routes to schools, which we use for the sidewalks on the highway, how we're paying for that sidewalk up there. But they're not paying for the sidewalks inside town.
Well, like you're talking about the sidewalk from Dairy Hollow, Pivot Rock Road to 62 or something like that. $1 million won't touch it. We built a sidewalk up here that was $300,000. It does go, that's what, 200 feet long, maybe? And so it's...
The only way we can afford these is through the state. And the main highways, I'm not sure if we're even eligible for our side streets.
And we may, I'm not concerned about what is and what isn't at this point. I think we need to open the communication between the council and the planning commission and try and maybe change some things.
Ms. Slane?
I would have to absolutely agree. I think our sidewalks are an absolute issue. I can't push the baby cart. You can't have anything on wheels on any sidewalk. And it's been an issue for a long time, and I understand that it is the person in front of that, but it's now such a situation to where nothing matches, nothing is the same, nothing, we need a solid plan, even if it is for them to fix, in my opinion.
We do have a plan with HDC and the Planning Commission.
Of exactly what's required for the pavement and everything that goes in. Then why is it different down here on Main versus, what
Because
it's like
they
on
have
Spring?
options on there, then it goes through the HDC when they put in new sidewalks. Is that what you're talking about, the new sidewalks?
Well,
On Main Street?
No, I didn't even know about the new sidewalks on Main.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I'm just saying that they're
That's the only-
different from
that's the only
spot to
sidewalks
spot.
On Main Street, where the new ones that were done, I say new, that was 10 years ago?
Yeah, when they're
15
replacing,
years ago?
like I have aggregate on one half and I have
Yeah.
limestone on the other, so it's.
Exactly.
And
I
it just,
can replace one half with aggregate and the other half probably with the stamped cement, so.
I think
Okay.
they've changed that now, too. That's an HDC situation.
Just a few years ago, I guess Bobby did it, but he got Local Flavor to replace their sidewalk and
Right.
built a nice sidewalk.
And there's a couple of places on Spring Streets,
Uh-huh.
too, that we've had.
Yeah, just in recent
It's
years.
a situation where, I think Jacob, the building inspector, needs to get back on track and start enforcing
And-
the regulations.
I'm still putting in a bid for sidewalks on East Mountain, since all of us on the east side are left,
Yep.
I think.
we don't
a work-
even have a nasty sidewalk to trip and fall on.
I think a workshop might clear up some misconceptions about who owns what and, maybe even bring at least Kyle or Glenn, I know, is kind of filling in for him, to kind of inform us the HDC's rulings and stuff on it. But I think it would help us start to navigate it because I do think it's important.
All right, well, I'll have Kim set up a meeting between us. All right. Anything else? All right, agenda setting, anybody? All right, city council comments. Mr. Alvanzino.
Yes, really looking forward to Zombie Crawl. I know a lot of people have some things going on. It's going to be a great weekend. And I know that we have a position open for a new police chief, and I'm hoping that it can be someone with a brand new, fresh set of eyes and new input into the city. So I'm looking forward to seeing who that person is.
Mr. Holyfield.
I went to the Voices of Silent City this past Saturday night. It was great. It's going on again Friday and Saturday this coming weekend. All our volunteer performers out there were wonderful in costume as usual. And of course, last week was perfect weather for it. I hope it will be this coming week. But if anybody has a chance to go, they really should go. It's a great thing to do.
Ms. Green.
Well, first, Michael brought it up tonight, our employees. I really want to thank all of them. We're really blessed with some fantastic employees, and want to thank you, Mayor, for helping get the benefits, and Jerry and Michael for that too. I want to thank Parks for putting up a temporary banister for the stairs that everybody's been on Facebook just having a fit about. But that is a dangerous set of stairs, and they got on it immediately. So I really want to thank them. And, before you start carrying on Facebook, really think about some things, because those stairs are steep, and we have a lot of elderly and handicapped people. And then I do want to thank Harry for bringing that ordinance. I understand where Harry's at, and unfortunately, we don't live in a perfect world anymore, and there's so much gun violence that we have to be protected. And I don't think Mr. Myers was off in what he wanted, but I just don't think, unfortunately, we have that world anymore.
Ms. Lane.
I would like to thank the mayor. I know that I've not always been in agreement with you, but this last year I have seen a change in how you have handled these meetings and how you have handled your job. And I appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Meyer.
Well, I'm sure everyone thinks that I am anti-police, but I'm not. It's just that we've got all the guns, lots of weapons, lots of cars. There's 6 cars sitting up there at the police department that some of them look like they've been through a demolition derby. The whole sides are caved in, and I'm sure they'll be sold at auction. But, we're just spending too much money on our little city police department. And you can say that we're busy on weekends, but then during the week, how come they don't find out that somebody broke into the public restrooms and trashed them? They don't even check doors. They don't check a thing. They just drive around town, if they drive around town at all. I mean, that we used to have officers walk Spring Street at night, checking people's doors. That was with the previous police chief. But we don't have that now. And, I'm not expecting them to catch anybody in the act of tearing up one of our public restrooms, but I guarantee they should be able to tell us between what hours of the night it happened, because they should be checking that stuff. And, from what I understand about how much money we spend on uniforms and shoes, we've got we got the top-notch police department for a little town of 2,200 people that has damn near zero crime. That's my take on it.
Mr. McClung.
Yeah, I'm saddened by yet hopeful by the news that we got tonight on the hospital, and it concerns me. It's I hope that they can get this thing worked out, and we continue to have a facility here for the locals. That's and I guess it's more of an emergency arrangement than anything, but that's what we need more than anything, that we can keep our citizens healthy until they can get to a better facility with more complete services, I guess. Not better, but with, a more full service hospital. Just say your prayers for that we do keep some kind of hospital available to our town. That's all.
Well, we've got a lot of activity still going on. It's October. So we've got the Mini Coopers coming back the 26th through the 29th, and so we'll have a mini parade on Friday the 27th at 4 p.m. down Spring Street. We will also have the Northwest Arkansas Ballet will perform Dracula on Friday, October 27th at the auditorium. The performance starts at 7:45. That should be a lot of fun. The 13th, and it's Mr. Holyfield mentioned, the 13th annual Voices from Eureka Silent City Cemetery Tours will be happening again on the 27th and 28th. If you haven't been, by all means go. This year it was real good. It had a lot of, you get to learn more about Eureka Springs and the history of Eureka, and they just do a great job. And it's a fundraiser also for the Historical Museum. So the tickets are available at the museum, and they're also available out at evening of each performance out where the trolley will pick you up on 62. The Zombie Crawl is back Saturday, October 28th, and it's promising to be another large gathering. We'll have Basin Park is going to have a lot of activities all day long. Center Street will hold a vendor alley, and then the Zombie Crawl itself will begin at 6 p.m. at the library, and then the after party is going to be here in the auditorium from 8 to 11. Another fun event that's going on. And then Eureka's national holiday, Halloween, is coming up. Downtown Merchants would host trick-or-treating from 4 to 6 on Halloween. And, of course, White Street trick-or-treating will be in full swing. The White Street Candy Bank is still accepting donations, so if you're so inclined, donate up on White Street. There's a spot up there for them. And then the movie The Ghostbusters will be shown at the Odd on Halloween night at 7:20. Adults will be $10 and kids $5. Diversity Weekend is November the 3rd through the 5th with Diversity in the Park on the 4th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then the 76th Annual Folk Festival. I think this may be the longest running festival, at least in the state. It starts off on November the 9th and goes through the 11th. So we got 2 days of free music and art at the Ozark Folk Fair in the auditorium basement. Doors are going to open at 11 a.m. on Friday with music starting at noon, featuring Corey McKelvey, duo, Opa Agavia, Opa, and Deanne Smith and Mountain Alice and Dion Hoff. And Eureka's own Hedgehoppers will be performing Friday, November the 9th upstairs at the Odd. And then the Barefoot Ball is another tradition. It's going to be November the 9th from 8 to 11 at the Basin Ballroom. Saturday at 11 o'clock, Jesse Dean will kick off the day, following by the Ozarks Folk Duel, Still on the Hill, and a family fun show with Grammy-nominated Trout Fishing in America. And to top it all off, Luther Bayard Blaine will be playing in a trio with Denise Collins and John Davies. And Friday's concert at 7 o'clock here in the Odd will be Trout Fishing in America with Matt the Electrician opening. And then concert Saturday at 7 p.m. with John Fulbright and Melissa Carpenter Trio, our own Melissa. So a lot of good music coming in and a lot of happening, a lot of fun things on the Folk Festival from November the 9th through the 11th. And then that same weekend we'll have the Porsche Palooza. And there'll be the parade at Saturday at 1:30 down Spring Street. So a lot of things going on for a lot of different people and a lot of fun things. So get out and have fun and enjoy yourself and be safe. And I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.